Cooper's career was ended due to injury. Arch Manning's career is going to be ended due to being shitty. Or should I say Pitt, bitch? Y'all ain't doing nothing. Pitt's been irrelevant since Kenny Pickett left in 2021. Yeah! Well, you want to know what Clemson is? Not shit. I am over Colorado's shit. Over. One of the biggest things as a fan base that we always say, you don't lose to Vanderbilt. As they fucking should be, dead last, because you fucking suck and you're dog shit. Okay? Good. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking another dive into the 2026 college football record predictions. And on the table today, the Texas A&M Aggies. Well, start off, Texas A&M actually won more than 8 fucking games last year. It's amazing. They went 11-2 last year. And they look to build on a very, very good 2025, in my opinion. Good old Marcel Reed from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, is the starting quarterback for the Aggies. And I was very impressed with what they were able to do last year. We're going to take all the time in this video to talk about that, as well as predicting their 2026 season. It's crazy to think that A&M has come this far after the whole Jimbo Fisher situation, because honestly, after 2020, and then Jimbo Fisher just, I don't even know, man. It was just, after that whole situation and the whole buyout crap and all that, we thought that A&M was going to be in the dump for a while, and then that ended up not being the case at all, actually. So, nonetheless, let's quit, procrastinating. Let's get right into this video. So to kick things off, let's recap 2025. Last season, Texas A&M, like I mentioned, went 11-2 overall. They were 7-1 in conference play, and they had a home record of 7-1. They began the season with a 42-24 win over UTSA. Then they had another home affair, and they beat Utah State 44-22. 2 pretty simple wins, a little closer than you would think, and they allowed a lot of points to UTSA and Utah State, which is surprising. But nonetheless, you start 2-0, and then you go at Notre Dame. Notre Dame was obviously favored to win that, and A&M actually pulled off the upset, 41-40, in a very, very thrilling game. I actually watched that game, and man, it was awesome. Then they came back home to Kyle Field to host Auburn. They won a thriller, 16-10. Then they hosted Mississippi State, blew the brakes off of them, 31-9. Then they hosted Florida, beat the brakes out of them too, 34-17. Then they went at Arkansas. Texas A&M and Arkansas is a pretty big rivalry. They were able to hang on, 45-42. Arkansas played a lot of top-tier teams close last year. They just could not catch a break. Arkansas, I said last year, was the best 2-10 team in the country and probably all time, because if you look at Arkansas' schedule, they played most of their opponents very, very close. They just, didn't hang on to win, but A&M escaped Fayetteville there. Then they had another road test against LSU, absolutely blew LSU out of their home stadium. It was not even close. Brian Kelly, of course, got fired. Now we know Lane Kiffin is there, but A&M made it look easy in Death Valley. Then they played at Missouri, so that is 3 very tough road games, and they beat Missouri on the road. And all of those wins, except for Arkansas, of course, but LSU and Missouri, at least, they scored 35 or more points. They scored 45 against Arkansas. So in all 3, they scored 35 or more points. and blew out Missouri and LSU in pretty tough road environments. And LSU at the time was 20th in the country. Missouri was 19th in the country. A&M beat them like it was nothing. Then they had that game at home against South Carolina, and at the half, South Carolina was winning 30-3. The final was 31-30, Texas A&M. Marcel Reed was playing very bad in that game, and somehow, someway, A&M managed to rally back and win. That was probably one of the best comebacks I've ever seen in college football history. Then they had a gimme game against Samford, beat them 48-0. And then the game I figured they were probably going to lose last year. They did on the road at rival Texas. They lost 27-17. And that pretty much killed their SEC title hopes. Then they made it to the first round of the playoffs and got axed by Miami 10-3 in a very, very defensive affair at Kyle Field. It was a heartbreaking loss for the Aggies. But I guess you can kind of hang your hat on the fact that Miami made it all the way to the national championship game and gave the eventual national champion Indiana a run for their money. So you kind of hang your hat on that. But honestly, considering what A&M had been prior to that, it's a pretty good season. Because before last year, they struggled to win 9 games. It was usually 8-4, 7-5 each year. They never got past that threshold. So last year was a huge step in the right direction for A&M. Now we look ahead to this year where, schedule is going to look a little different. But before we do start the record prediction, we're going to discuss a little bit of the stats from last season. So Marcel Reed, the quarterback, had 3,169 yards. The leading rusher, Reuben Owens II, had 639 yards. KC Concepcion was the leading receiver. He had 919 yards. The leading tackler was Terran York. He had 72 of those. And then interceptions, Dalton Brooks had 1. As a team last year, A&M had 33.8 points per game. They scored 439 points, 56 total touchdowns, 239 first downs. They were 71 for 174 on third down efficiency. Passing, they were 248 for 408. Net passing yards, 3,378 in 8.3 per passing attempt. Roughly 259.8 yards passing a game, 26 passing touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Rushing attempts, they had 498, 2,401 rushing yards in 4.8 per attempt. They averaged 184.7 rushing yards a game, and they had 28 rushing touchdowns. They had 925 offensive plays, 5,779 total yards, and they averaged about 444 yards a game. So overall, A&M had a really good season last year, just short of an SEC title shot. And they got axed by Miami in the playoffs. So, pretty much recaps last year. I'm going to check real quick, but I don't believe there's any headlines regarding Texas A&M. If there are, we're going to discuss it. But I think everything's kind of like Georgia. Everything's pretty simple, but let's see if there's any news. It doesn't look like there's anything out of the ordinary. It's pretty much just looking ahead to this year and talking about recruiting and the draft. So nothing out of the usual there. So let's go ahead and begin the record prediction for 2026 for the Texas A&M Aggies. They kicked things off in week 1, hosting Missouri State. No reason they should lose that game. I mean, at all. That's a win. Then they got an interesting matchup. They host the Arizona State Sun Devils. We're very well aware 2 years ago, Arizona State had a playoff season. Kenny Dillingham and Cam Scatterbo and Sam Levitt, they were the trio that year. And, I don't know. The reason I'm kind of speechless right now is because I'm sitting here trying to figure out why I'm even thinking about this, because A&M should easily win this game. But Arizona State has been proven the past couple of seasons. The one thing that's going to make me pick Texas A&M, aside of their SEC and it's at Kyle Field, Arizona State hasn't played an environment like Kyle Field before. They lost Sam Levitt to LSU. That's a big loss for them. They're going to have to try to find some sort of redemption. They got the former Kentucky quarterback there now. I'm not real high on him at all. He played decent for Kentucky, but honestly, I don't think Arizona State's going to be that good this year. So, and they're damn sure not going to be good enough to beat Texas A&M at Kyle Field. So, with that being said, A&M starts 2-0. Then they host Kentucky. Kentucky, I think, since they have a new head coaching staff this year, and it's just going to be a completely different look, Mark Stoops being gone, I don't think Kentucky's going to have anything to give A&M, and I think Texas A&M starts 3-0. Then they go at LSU. Well, last year they throttled LSU in Death Valley, and they get another chance to do it again this year. The problem is this time the head coach is Lane Kiffin, and he has Sam Levitt. He's had a lot of good transfers go there. It's going to be a tough road environment. I'm kind of 50-50 on this game. Still 50-50 on this game. Lane Kiffin typically has a good home record, but A&M, as of late, has owned LSU. It's a pretty tough pick. Something's telling me if they're both undefeated by this point, it could be College game day, and it could potentially be a night game at Death Valley too. Regardless, though, that's going to be a good game. But since A&M has a little more experience with this current coaching staff that they have, and some of their key pieces are returning, and LSU's kind of going to be a new team this year, I think still in the first week of the first month of the regular season, I think that's going to give A&M enough for me to be confident in picking them in that game. But LSU could easily win this game without a doubt. But I'm going to take A&M here just because they've been together longer, and Lane Kiffin's probably still going to be trying to figure out the team's identity. So I think A&M wins a close one and advances to 4-0. Then they host Arkansas. That's a win. No hesitation. Arkansas, I mean, dude, they were the worst team in the SEC last year. They got a new coaching staff this year. They lost a lot of their players. It's going to be a new identity for them. So as of now, I don't think Arkansas is in the position to go on the road and beat Texas A&M. So with that being said, they win their 5th game of the season, start 5-0. Then they travel to Columbia, Missouri. I think Missouri's taking another big step back this year. I don't care if it is in Columbia. I think A&M's going to handle business there again and advance to 6-0. Then they host the Citadel at a weird spot of the schedule. That's a win. Let's see. Sorry about that. The thing froze up. That's a win. They're going to advance to 7-0. Then they play back-to-back road games. This is where their schedule is going to get the toughest. They're riding high. They're 7-0, likely top 10 in the country. And then you got to play at Alabama. That's going to be a good game at Alabama. And not only that, you also got to play at South Carolina the following week. Now, A&M won 3 hard road games last year. And they have some tough road games on their schedule this season as well. I've already picked them to win 2 pretty tough road games. I don't think they're going to win at Alabama this year. I think Alabama's going to beat them. So with that being said, they fall to 7-1. And then, man, at South Carolina, that's going to be a tough environment, but something's telling me With how South Carolina played Texas A&M last year, you would think that since this time it's in Columbia, that South Carolina might get the edge, and they very well could. But realistically, this is a game Texas A&M should win, and I think last year they were just riding very high on emotions and just finally having a great year that South Carolina caught them off guard. This year, I think A&M is going to be ready for them. They're going to be coming off that loss to Alabama. And honestly, instead of being tired and worn out, I think more so A&M's going to have confidence and they're going to be pissed off and they're going to have that want and that will to win in them. And I honestly think they're going to beat South Carolina. So that game could go either way, but I personally think they're going to beat South Carolina and advance to 8-1. Then they play Tennessee. Well, man, this game's at Kyle Field. I'm a Tennessee fan. I'd love to see us win this game, but personally, I just can't pick us to do it. I think A&M wins this and advances to 9-1 simply because Tennessee, they're not in a rebuilding year, but we're still trying to get shit figured out. And we got a new defensive coordinator this year. We don't even know who our quarterback's going to be. But our defense was dog shit last season. I think A&M's definitely the favorite here, and I think they're probably going to be favored by double digits. Now, can Tennessee compete? Yeah, sure, they can. But I think A&M's going to win this game and advance to 9-1. Then that leaves you with two former Big 12 teams, now SEC opponents. At Oklahoma, man, A&M has some tough-ass road games. This is hard to pick. Damn. I think talent-wise, A&M has the advantage, and I don't think Norman is as tough as a place to play as the road games they've seen before. And coming off that win against Tennessee and with the kind of experience they have on the road up until this game, I think Elko is a better coach than Venables. And I think A&M's going to pull out a close one in Norman and advance to 10-1 before they host Texas, where I think Texas is going to win. Simply put, the Texas A&M game is starting to get to where it's like, okay, in order for me to pick Texas A&M to beat Texas, I'm going to have to see them beat them. So with that being said, I think Texas beats Texas A&M, and A&M finishes with a 10-2 record, which could be a playoff season. For sure could be a playoff season. I don't think they're going to leave a 10-2 Texas A&M team out at all, actually. SEC title game, I'm not sure because you got Bama, you got Texas, you got Georgia, you got Ole Miss. So I'm not real sure in that regard. But wins I'm 100% confident in for Texas A&M are Missouri State, Arizona State, Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, the Citadel, and Tennessee. So that's 7 wins. I can definitely say, yeah, you guys are probably going to win that. Add South Carolina, that's 8. You probably should win that too. So honestly, I think at the very worst, you're going to go 8-4, which you guys are probably sick of having that record. But at the worst, the very worst, I see you guys going 8-4 probably at the very worst. But realistically, your very, very floor is probably going to be let me see here. I think you're definitely going to start 3-0. Could lose to LSU. That's 3-1. I'd say Arkansas 4-1 regardless. Missouri, I'm going to say 5-1. I don't see a way you lose that. Citadel 6-1. Bama 6-2. South Carolina 6-3. Norman could be, so that could be 7-4 after Tennessee. So honestly, if A&M completely collapses 7-5 or 8-4, but realistically probably 9-3 or 10-2. That's kind of where I'm going to leave that off. I don't know. Just entering this prediction, I knew it was going to be a little tough because A&M has all those road games, and it's going to be tough for them. But I think they return a decent amount, and with Marcel Reed at the helm again, I think they also have Owens coming back. I think they also have some key defenders returning as well. So I don't think A&M's going to fall off too much this season, and I think Texas A&M goes 10-2 in 2026. Let me know what you think in the comments. This one was a little tougher for me to do, but all in all, that's what I think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!